and welcome to the Craft Beer Corner. For today's beer review, we're jumping into a beer from Sam Adams, obviously owned by Boston Beer Company out of Boston, Massachusetts. Been a long time since I've done a Sam Adams beer, and today we've got, again, similar to Sierra Nevada, we've got a new sampler pack that's out, and two of the beers that are in there we've already reviewed, but there are two new ones. This one here is a brand new beer. The other beer that's in that sampler I've just never reviewed. So we've got two new Sam Adams beers coming up. The first of those we're jumping into today is the Golden Pilsner. That's the name of it. It's a Pilsner, exactly as it sounds like. 5% ABV on this one, and they tell us on the back it is 32 IBUs. That just gives us a gauge. Of course, we talk about this often. IBUs are the exact measurement, but it's all about perception to anyone's individual palate. So we're going to get this cracked, and appropriately, we're using one of our nice, great all-purpose Sam Adams glasses. So let's just get this poured right in there. Oh yeah, that's a lovely looking beer. Top that off. That'll get the whole thing in there. Absolutely, it will. Yeah, very effervescent. Classically effervescent like a Pils. Visually, that is just a clean, light golden yellow, very pale, classic Pilsner. In fact, if I had to say, it's maybe got a bit more golden hue in it than, say, its typical German counterparts. So I'm expecting there to be maybe a bit more underlying malt flavor, but it looks fantastic. Again, the etchings in the bottom of these Sam Adams glasses are designed to help create and maintain the head. They do a fantastic job. You can buy these all over the place. I highly, highly recommend them. These are great all-purpose glasses, work for all styles. Did create a nice foamy classic Pils head. Let's give this a sniff. Oh yeah. Wow, yeah. So it smells very nice. I've got a lot of kind of doughy, yeasty, and bready notes coming off of it from the malt bill, but it also smells very much like a classic Pils hop profile. Don't know the exact hops they use, but it smells like a typical classic German or Czech that's using German or Czech noble hops. It smells rather earthy, only slight suggestions of some kind of citrus notes in the back. Yeah, it smells very, very nice. And there's this distinct Pilsner aroma to it. It's that combination of the hops in combination with the traits from the malt bill that combine to make that very distinct Pilsner smell. It smells fantastic. It looks fantastic. Let's jump right in and see what this one's about. Oh yeah, that's very nice. Okay, so first things first, body and mouthfeel. It's a 5% ABV on a Pilsner. It's not a super heavy beer style. It's not supposed to be. I would say this feels medium light. Maybe it's got slight more weight to it than your average Pils, but it's still perfectly in the range. I would say it's kind of top tier. It's not abnormally skewed one way or the other, but for what you expect, it's top tier. The mouthfeel on this one, very similar story to the body. It's got the right amount of resistance. It doesn't have any more or any less than you would expect. It's just spot on the money. So texturally and weight-wise, it feels really, really nice. We'll get to the rest of kind of the mouthfeel as we get on the back end of the finish, as it is a Pilsner. In terms of the flavor profile, this tastes very much like a classic Pilsner recipe, but I don't want to say it tastes exactly like a German or a Czech Pilsner. It's distinctly got kind of its American twist. So part of it is probably coming from, slight deviations they've done in the malt bill, and also whatever specific hops that they used, but it's really, really nice. They say 32 IBUs. I would believe it. It's got a little bit of a hop bite, but it's not over the top. It feels right for the style. So it's got just this classic kind of clean, crisp quality to it that is prototypical of the beer style. And indeed, this is very much a classic Pilsner recipe. It's just got a little something extra in there. And I mean that in a very, very good way. I love German Pilsners, classic traditional German Pilsners. I love Czech Pilsners. But when an American craft brewer makes a Pilsner, I always know I'm in for a treat because there's always just a little something extra, something that's slightly different that you get from the American craft interpretation of this classic style versus the Europeans that basically have kept the same recipes for ages and ages. This is very, very nice. Oftentimes in Pilsners, you get kind of a fresh kind of green apple kind of vibe. Sometimes you get notes of mowed grass. I'm not getting that in this at all. It's just got a nice little hot bitter bite. It's got a very clean, refreshing flavor to it. It tastes distinctly of a Pilsner, but there's this extra certain something in there. It could be the specific hop. It could be coming out of the malt bill, what specific grains that they used in it, but it's very, very nice, and it feels like a classic Pilsner to me, and a very, very good one at that. So I'm going to jump back in for a second sip, let everything re-intensify. We'll make sure we didn't miss anything critical, then we'll talk about the balance and the finish. Take two. Yeah, you swallow and you get this nice little kick of bitters, this slight little underpinning of earthiness to it. The grain bill comes out tasting very kind of doughy, bready, a little bit yeasty. That might be where I'm getting some kind of additional interesting flavors than you would find in a lot of Pilsners. The bitters and the hop flavor profile that's coming through in this one is very much earthy. Think like a British Fogelhop, but with a bit more intensity. But there is actually a slight suggestion of some kind of resinous notes underneath. So I don't know if Sam Adams got a little cheeky, maybe threw in a small amount of a West Coast hop to kind of get some of these additional profiles, maybe a Magnum or a Simcoe. I'm not suggesting that they did, but there is a little bit of a twinge in the back. It's nice. It's very much classic, but it has these extra added elements to it that, frankly, for my money, adds a lot more depth and a lot more layering to this beer. I really, really like it. In terms of the finish, it is a Pilsner. It does have a little bit of a dryness on the end. So that really starts to become noticeable to my palate right around the 20 to 30 second mark. And it's not astringently dry, but it's enough that it feels very succinct on the end and it feels very crisp on the end. So again, very classic Pilsner traits here. In terms of the overall length of the finish, this one definitely is longer than your average Pilsner. It really is coming out to the kind of intensity of the bitters that it doesn't hit you over the top on the front end, but once you get kind of where the intensity of the flavor styles back and it starts its descent, you start to notice that those bitters are actually lingering quite a bit on the palate. And on mine, it's kind of from the midway point back. So it's covering kind of a bit bigger area than I would normally expect to find on a Pilsner. But, you know, it's beer to beer, it's hop to hop. But this one is very, very good. It's very nice. But it absolutely has a longer, well longer than average finish for a Pilsner. In terms of the balance on this one, I think it's fantastic. Whatever grains they used in this malt bill, absolutely great. Their specific yeast variety, the hops, I couldn't tell you what it is, but I can tell you it's very, very good. There's just this classic earthiness, clean, you know, kind of neutral hop flavor, and then just this little hint of this resinous quality in the background. And yeah, I'll say it. It is a little bit cheeky, but it's nice. It adds extra dimension to this beer. So yes, this is very much a classic Pilsner, but it's not what I would call a run-of-the-mill Pilsner. It's got some added nuance to it, some added bonus elements to it you don't find in all or indeed most Pilsners, and I think that it is all the better for it. This is a really, really good new beer from Sam Adams, guys. I'm going to take my time to sip on this, go with my scores. When we come back, we will get this beer ranked from top to bottom. All right, now that we've gotten to enjoy this beer, we're going to get it ranked. This was Sam Adams Golden Pilsner, a Pilsner. The clock's in at 5% ABV. Sam Adams, of course, based in Boston, Massachusetts. So yet again, we're jumping into another single beer that's part of a bigger sampler pack. We did this recently with Sierra Nevada. We've got a couple new ones from this current Sam Adams sampler that's out in stores now. Today's beer was really, really nice, guys. This was all of the hallmarks of a classic Pilsner that I absolutely love. There is a reason that it is the most widely produced and imitated beer style in the world. This sells more than any other style of beer in the world by a vast margin, and every time I have a good Pilsner, I come back to exactly why that is, and this was no exception. So, in general, yeah, classic hallmarks, but it actually had a couple other nice nuances that you don't normally find in a Pils. For starters, it did have a bit more prevalent hop bite to it than, say, some average run-of-the-mill Pilsners you could run into. But this is, of course, an American craft Pilsner. But it also had this nice other kind of more doughy and yeasty characteristic that you don't typically find in a Pilsner. Typically, they're going to be kind of granola and cereal-like. Sometimes you'll get grass and kind of ripe fruit. There was none of that in this, but the underlying malt bill, I really liked whatever they put in there. And the hop selection as well. Really, really well selected, and it just made for a fantastic beer drinking experience. So this beer did great across the board. There was just a single category that did not get a perfect score, and that was the mouthfeel. So nothing wrong with the mouthfeel here at all. It was just kind of bog standard, middle of the road. It was what I expected. It wasn't better or worse or going on any of the either ends of the extreme on the spectrum. So I did give it exactly that, an average score of 5 out of 10. That does leave a perfect 10 out of 10 in the remaining 9 categories. That's aroma, taste, body, finish, head and retention, appearance, balance, feeling/intangible, my subjective thoughts, and example of style. So the total score on Sam Adams Golden Pilsner is a 95 out of 100. Guys, this was an absolutely fantastic Pilsner. It seems like almost every time I review a Pilsner, I'm always coming away saying I should drink more Pilsners and that it's really great. Honestly, you know, people have been brewing Pilsners for a long time. They're very popular. Sure, there are Pilsners that are better than others out there. Some are not that great. This was in the very great category. If you're a Pilsner fan, I definitely highly recommend this one. It was everything I love in a classic Pils, just had a few extra nuances that made it kick it up over the top for me. Absolutely great beer right here. Folks, that's today's review. As always, I do sincerely appreciate you tuning in today. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to stay in the loop whenever the videos go live, just turn on your notifications by hitting that bell icon. Until next time, keep it beer, keep it craft. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.